So CBO, campaign budget optimization, as we used to call it, or Advantage Plus budget, because nowadays everything is being called Advantage Plus. When they are calling something Advantage Plus with this, means that it has the help of AI. Basically, this is the new concept. So what is this? We have a campaign over here, which is having an ad set, a second ad set, as many ad sets as you want to put, different ads, and all of that. The CBO means that all the budget is being distributed by the campaign to each one of the ad sets. Okay, it goes from the campaign to the ad set, it goes to the ad set. Okay, while in an ABO, we're having distribution of setting the budget here and distributes it to all the ads. This is an ABO. Okay, we're not going to talk about ABO in a different one. We're going to analyze it here, over here. So the campaign budget optimization means that the budget that we're going to set over here is going to be distributed to the different ad sets, okay? And then the ad sets are going to distribute it to the ads. On ABO, we have the ad sets having their budget distributed to the ads. What does this mean? That means that this is a campaign that needs a lot of optimization. But optimization is something that we're going to cover in a little bit. A little bit about CBO. So, campaign budget optimization, I'm old school, I'm going to keep calling it campaign budget optimization, CBO, sorry. It's something that is working 99% of the cases better than ABO. But now in ad accounts, ASC, which I'm going to talk on the next chapter, it's also working really well. In trained ad accounts, both CBO and ASC are working pretty well. You can do 1 million things with ABO, including interests, you can do lookalikes, you can do broad, you can do crazy method. Okay, of course, crazy method means CBO. We cannot do crazy method without having a CBO campaign. Let's discuss a little bit about the structure. So in the previous chapter, we analyzed how I like to use lookalikes, interest, and all of that in more complex strategies. But here we're going to talk about simple things. And we have also analyzed the most important thing, which is how many ad sets should I have and what kind of budget. We have analyzed this on the crazy method. It's the same thing. You see the average cost per purchase, then you divide it with the budget that you have. You divide the budget with the average cost per purchase. You see the number of ad sets. Normally, after iOS, I don't like to have also in my crazy method more than 10 ad sets. Okay, and here I don't like to have more than 5 ads. I like to use 3 to 5. Okay, not 1, 3 to 5 ads. With dynamic creative ads that they are being eliminated now and we're going to lose them, we could do only 1 ad per ad set, but now we have flexible ads. I don't like flexible ads, but I have a specific chapter talking about them. As everything in Meta, the CBO campaign was not working pretty well when it was launched, and the reason I believe it was that it had to be trained on how to distribute the budget to the ad sets so that it's going to work. Eventually it worked pretty well, and it was something that me and many other people we have used for many years until the coming of the ASC, which we're using a little bit more on trained ad accounts. But for sure CBO is something that we use across many other ad accounts because you can use it with so many ways. The CBO is when you use it with interest, lookalikes, broad, it's the whole path that I showed you in the previous video of how you can train your pixel in the most cost efficient way and the journey that you can have. You can do different, in different ad sets, different interests. We said how you're going to group them together. You can do stacked lookalikes or different lookalikes over here. You can do broad over here, crazy method or whatever you want to do. And then the budget is going to be distributed most of the times it goes to the bigger audiences, but we have discussed this also into the previous chapter. One thing that I need to mention over here about the CBO campaigns is a little bit the differences with ABO and how they're distributing the budget on the actual ad sets. There is going to be most of the times just a distribution. Let's say, for example, that we have a 200. There's no way, because you can see this in ASC campaigns, you can see over here, this one spending 150, for example, and this one spending 25 and 25, okay? Let's say that we have 3 ad sets. This is something that you don't see regularly inside a CBO campaign, but most likely you're going to see a better even distribution. These are things that we're going to watch a lot into the optimization Loom videos later on, because optimization is a very difficult part, and I can tell you that CBO campaigns are very difficult in optimizing and learning how to do it in a very efficient way, especially if you're unlike me, crazy method campaigns with multiple ad sets that you have to see dominant ad sets and all of that. The thing though that I need you to understand in this chapter is that it goes from campaign level to ad set and then it distributes to ads. Most of the times in your ads over here, if you're using 3 to 5, you're going to see that one is taking the budget. Okay, it's a dominant ad most of the times. There's not going to be an even distribution between your ads and it's going to be different. And the other thing that you're going to see is that if here you're using the same ads as in my example, it's always going to be the same ad that's going to take the budget between your ad sets. It's not going to be a different one. The other thing is that you need to optimize on the ad set level and not optimize on the ad level and on the ad set level. You need to optimize on the ad set level, and this is what I'm going to teach you into the optimization chapters with the long videos. We're going to see all of these things on the recap videos, but this is where you activate it on the campaign level. You're going to see a toggle on/off button that you're going to do that. If you don't turn it on, it's going to become an ABO campaign and you will have to set an individual budget to each one of those. Why I don't like ABO comparing to CBO? The AC campaign that we're going to talk about later is ABO, but at the end of the day, it's a different kind of campaign. I'm talking about traditional ABO campaigns. In traditional ABO campaigns, I don't like to actually set the budget on my own over here because I don't know how these ad sets, how powerful they are and if they're going to scale. There's this concept of the bell curve that we're going to see in the scaling chapters, and it's that the more that you increase over here the budget, there's a soft spot over here that eventually the ad set is going to crash, and it's going to have worse results. If you're doing it on your own with an ABO campaign, basically you're increasing your budget over here, and if you're starting, for example, here with $5, your breaking point is going to be on 20. But if you're starting here, because the campaign is starting it with a budget distribution from a bell curve that is higher, like this one, the soft spot is going to be on a higher point, so that means that you can scale more. A lot of times we see a lot of agencies that they're having the specific model of having an ABO campaign for testing, one scaling campaign and one retargeting, because they're working like factors and they do the same thing again and again, like one-trick ponies. And in the ABO campaigns, they are spending $5, $6, $10. I know that it sounds appealing to test something with $5 per day, but at the end of the day, not everything is for every account. For example, if you're selling something for $100, and you're just spending 5, that means that you are just asking 20 ROAS over here, okay? In order for you to just have a sale. I'm not saying that it's not going to happen. I'm just saying that because it happened, it's not actual numbers, okay? So over here, having ABOs with small budgets and stuff, while it sounds appealing, maybe it's not correct based on what you have. Now, if you're selling something for 30, okay, maybe you're going to be able to get this kind of results. On the other hand, when you're taking something which is working on ABO and you put it on a CBO, then that means that this is not going to necessarily scale as much as you would, okay? Because when you put it immediately in a CBO campaign with a one variable rule, which I like to have, and it's I'm testing immediately on CBO or AAC campaigns if they're working in another account, new creatives, because I want to see also if these creatives are scalable or not. What am I doing is that I'm having a budget which is going to be distributed on these ad sets, and if these ad sets are worthy, they're going to take budgets and I'm going to have higher bell curves, which means that this can scale more. On the other hand, if I'm just having just an ad set which is spending $5 and $10 and is working, sometimes you put them in a CBO campaign and they're not going to work because they're going to take more budget and they're going to collapse and they're not going to be able to work. If something is working on $5, it doesn't mean that necessarily it can work on $20. But if you put something immediately on a CBO campaign, which is going to push it between ad sets to spend, it's like an arena, they fight with each other for which one is going to be the best, the gladiator. So basically, if you have a CBO campaign, which is going to show you which one is the best, along with optimization, which is a key factor to what we do in order to intervene if something is going wrong. You can find the best one and the one that can scale more and can take budget, because we don't only care about good ROAS, but we care also about the fact that we want to have ad sets that they are having also volume. So what I want you to understand is that before the CBO, we just had the ABO campaigns that you were setting budgets and you were guessing what is the number that you should put in order for your ad set not to collapse. I want you to think of it like this. Think that you are in a dark room and behind you there is a wall, okay? And it's the $5 that you are spending. And you have the soft spot over here. The soft spot is that you are walking, okay, until you find the other wall in front of you and you're just trying to fill. So you're increasing the budget. If you find the wall, okay, this is something that you don't know and nobody of us knows. So you might pass this point and you might increase more and maybe your ad is going to collapse. This is something that you don't know, but you're having better control with CBO on that because Facebook is going to take the decision of how much it's going to spend to each ad set. You're always there to intervene with optimization and with our rules, but at the end of the day, it's going to do better work than you into the budget allocation to the different ad sets based on the results that they're actually bringing. So the CBO campaigns revolutionized the way that we were doing Facebook ads back in the day when they came out. Now we have a new toy, which is the ASC campaigns that we're going to talk about in the next chapter. But they have been very important because with them, I have the crazy method, because in the crazy method, you want them to compete with each other to find different hot pockets and all of that. And they were a very important way of actually doing campaigns because you can use it with everything. Interest lookalikes, ASC campaigns, for example, they are limiting you in only using broad, but here you can use it with everything. So whatever you want to do inside that account, most of the times is going to be a CBO campaign if you know what you're doing and you know how to optimize. But at the end of the day, this was the next level thing that Meta brought at some point. It was super cutting-edge technology for us, the CBO comparing to ABO, because we were having this competition, multiple ad sets, then the crazy method came and all of that. So this is something that it's close to my heart, okay? I like the CBO campaigns. Because crazy method means CBO, of course. The most things that you're going to see about CBO is going to be crazy method and stacked lookalikes and all of that into my channel or in the course, and you're going to see optimization into the Loom videos, which is the difficult part of it. You know, the difficult part is mastering the CBO optimization. That's the difficult part, but in other words, it's a great tool for you to test all of these different things. And nowadays, it's being used, by the way, in the previous year, we were having a limitation of 7 ASC campaigns per account. So I was using more, mostly stacked lookalikes or crazy method broad, stacked lookalikes, crazy method also. But now they have removed the limit of ASC campaigns that you can do in trained ad accounts. So in my bigger ad accounts, I'm doing mostly ASC because it's easier to scale a CBO campaign. Let's touch a little bit about this also before we close the video. After that point, I stopped using so much CBO and I'm using more ASC because I can do limitless campaigns in another account. But let's talk a little bit also about scaling those because this is also an important thing. So scaling, as I said, the CBO campaigns are not so good on scaling comparing to an ABO campaign. This is a fact. The problem is that you're having different assets over here, and when you're having different assets, they have different distribution over here, and when you do optimization, you might close some and you might find a balance. If you just increase the budget, then you are not controlling this, which is that it's going to give it to a different asset based on what it thinks. And in comparison to ASC campaigns, we're not having really dominant assets taking 80% of the budget. For example, they take maybe our dominant is going to take 50%. There are cases that the dominant ad is going to take a lot of budget, but they are rare. In the ASC campaigns, which is ABO campaigns, they're doing a change also on that now. They want to make them also CBO or Advantage Plus budget, but we will talk about this in the next chapter. They are more stable because you can just control the budget a little bit, increase it. In the scaling chapter, we're going to talk more about this, but for sure this is more volatile comparing to an ABO because the moment you are introducing new budget, you are changing all this balance that you have between the assets because the ads already have a winner inside, it doesn't matter. So that's the problem that you have with CBOs. On bad periods, you're going to see them that they're not so stable, and that's why I'm using them less and less into trained pixel ad accounts and stuff, and I'm using it more in new pixel ad accounts or in other accounts that they have problems and I want to train the pixel and stuff. In other stable ad accounts that they have numbers and they're just scaling, I will use mostly ASC campaigns and bid caps, cost caps, and maybe some CBOs here and there, but not so many because on a bad period or on a stress period or whatever, or if I want to try to scale it, I'm going to lose them and they're going to have a problem. That's all. I will see you in the next video for ASC.